HOA fined me for my own ranch. I own the land. So I banned them from ever farming here. Have you ever wondered what happens when a powerful HOA tries to bully a landowner who was there first? The sun was setting over the rolling hills of my family's ranch, casting a golden glow on the fields we'd worked for generations. The hum of my tractor was the only sound breaking the evening's peace, a rhythm as familiar to me as my own heartbeat. This land, 200 acres of fertile soil in rural Texas, had been in my family since my great-great-grandfather staked his claim in the 1800s. It wasn't just dirt, it was our legacy, our blood, our home. But that peace shattered the day a letter arrived from the new HOA next door, demanding I pay a $1,000 daily fine for unsightly farm equipment visible from their pristine cul-de-sacs. The kicker? My ranch wasn't even part of their community. The HOA represented Willow Creek Estates, a shiny new development of mini-mansions that had sprung up like weeds on the neighboring property. The developer had carved up the old Johnson farm into cookie-cutter lots, promising buyers a curated rural lifestyle with manicured lawns and zero trace of actual rural life. Apparently, my tractor, parked in my own field, was an eyesore, ruining their property values. The letter, dripping with legal jargon, cited their covenants and claimed my agricultural activities violated their aesthetic standards. They demanded I remove the tractor or face escalating fines. I laughed at first, thinking it was a mistake. My land wasn't under their jurisdiction. I owned it outright, free of any HOA, but the letters kept coming, each more aggressive than the last. I wasn't alone in my confusion. My neighbor, Old Man Jenkins, a grizzled farmer who'd seen it all, stopped by with a similar letter. They're trying to fine me for my hay bales, he growled, spitting tobacco into the dirt. Say it's clutter. Clutter. On my own damn land? Jenkins had been farming longer than I'd been alive, and his property, like mine, predated the HOA by decades. We weren't part of their gated utopia, but that didn't stop them from acting like they owned us. The audacity was staggering. They were trying to control land they had no claim to, all because their buyers didn't like the sight of honest work. The truth was, Willow Creek's board was led by Karen Whitmore, a transplant from the city with a vendetta against anything that didn't fit her vision of suburban perfection. Karen, with her designer sunglasses and clipped tone, had moved into the biggest house in the development and quickly seized control of the HOA, according to a friend who worked at the county clerk's office. Karen had been a corporate lawyer before retiring to play dictator in the countryside. Her letters weren't just demands, they were threats, promising liens, lawsuits, and even foreclosure if I didn't comply. She claimed my tractor and Jenkins' hay bales were devaluing their properties, citing some obscure clause in their bylaws about adjacent land impacts. Never mind that my family had been farming here before her buyers were born. The twist came when I dug into the HOA's governing documents, which I got from a sympathetic Willow Creek resident named Maria. She'd moved there hoping for a quiet life but was fed up with Karen's iron-fisted rule. Maria slipped me a copy of the HOA's covenants, and I spent a night poring over them with a pot of coffee and a growing headache. The documents were a maze of legalese, but one thing was clear: their authority stopped at their property line. They had no legal right to fine me or Jenkins for anything on our land. Texas law was on our side. HOAs can't impose rules on properties outside their jurisdiction, and my deed was as clean as they come. But Karen wasn't banking on legal accuracy, she was banking on intimidation. The confrontation came at a town hall meeting I organized at the community center. Jenkins and I rallied other local farmers, all of whom were getting similar letters from Willow Creek. The room was packed with weathered faces, calloused hands, and barely contained fury. Karen and her HOA board showed up, expecting to steamroll us with their usual tactics. She stood at the podium, clutching a stack of papers, and launched into a speech about community standards and property values. I let her talk, waiting for my moment. When she finished, I stood up, holding my deed in one hand and Maria's leaked documents in the other. Karen, I said, my voice steady but loud enough to carry. You're fining me for a tractor on my own land. Land my family has owned for over a century. Your bylaws don't apply to me. You have no authority here. The room erupted in cheers from the farmers. But Karen didn't flinch. She doubled down, claiming the HOA could sue for nuisance because our farms made their community less appealing. That's when Maria stood up, her voice shaking but resolute. I live in Willow Creek, she said, and I'm tired of this HOA bullying people who were here first. You're not protecting our property values, you're harassing our neighbors. The crowd roared again, and for the first time, I saw Karen's composure crack. The tide turned fast. Jenkins, never one to mince words, took the mic and recounted how HOA inspectors had trespassed on his property, taking photos of his hay bales. He caught them red-handed and chased them off with his shotgun, which got a laugh from the room but a scowl from Karen. I followed up, revealing that I'd consulted a lawyer friend who confirmed the HOA's fines were unenforceable. Texas Property Code Section 209.006 requires HOAs to notify owners of violations and offer a chance to cure them, but only for properties within their jurisdiction. My ranch wasn't theirs to control. I ended my speech with a warning: if your inspectors set foot on my land again, I'll have them arrested for trespassing. And if you push this lawsuit, I'll countersue for harassment. Karen's empire crumbled in the weeks that followed. Maria rallied more Willow Creek residents, many of whom were fed up with the HOA's overreach. They voted to oust Karen from the board, replacing her with a more reasonable president who promised to focus on their own community, not ours. The fines stopped and the threatening letters dried up. But I wasn't done. I'd had enough of their audacity, and I wanted to make sure no future HOA could pull this stunt again. So, I worked with my lawyer to file a restrictive covenant on my land, banning any agricultural use by Willow Creek or its successors. If they wanted to play hardball, I'd make sure their curated rural lifestyle stayed firmly urban. My land would remain a working ranch, untouchable by their rules. The fallout was poetic. Karen moved out of Willow Creek within months, unable to handle the backlash from her own neighbors. Jenkins celebrated by stacking his hay bales higher just to rub it in. And Maria? She became a local hero, bridging the gap between the farmers and the residents who just wanted to live in peace. My ranch is quieter now, the tractor still humming in the fields, free from HOA threats. But the fight left me with a fire in my gut, a reminder that standing up for what's yours takes guts, grit, and a good lawyer. This wasn't just about a tractor or hay bales, it was about defending a way of life against those who think they can buy and bully their way into control. If you've ever faced an HOA overstepping its bounds, what would you have done? Would you fight back, or try to reason with them? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear how you'd handle a Karen trying to rule your land.